We don't want to put it on the Initiate because then we can't train that way. And now that we swing in Anim Pakal at partners, and they didn't even get to see it, but they felt it. Ladies and gentle mages, civilians across the multiverse, welcome back to another episode with Man and today we've got a juicer for you. Before we get into the deck, make sure to leave a like. The button looks just like this and it helps out the channel more than you can know. I'd really appreciate that. Let's get into it. We got the Naya counters. That's right. Pretty much every single thing we do in the deck is going to be making +1/+1 counters. The Hopeful Initiate is like the best +1/+1 ever for this. I know that there is like Hopeful Initiate in like mono white, and there's like the Warden of the Sky and like that white kind of Boros nonsense. I do think that is like a really good deck, but I want to kind of make some like my own little spin here. So we have the Hopeful Initiate, and for 3, we can just remove anything or any target artifact or enchantments with the Hopeful Initiate. And there's so many different things that we can, like, there's never a shortage of +1/+1 counters on it. We do have Play with Fire just because we don't, like, we only have 2 different 1-drops here, or I guess technically it's not a 1-drop, but you get what I'm saying. Play with Fire, because you do need removal. I actually have Soul Partition as well. I have found that we kind of are like a more aggro-y type of deck, so typically with Soul Partition, I prefer this over Get Lost because you can hit any exile any non-land permanent, whether it's you don't get the destruction ability and you don't give them map tokens, and usually it's too late for them to replay the Soul Partition anyway. So I do kind of like that. We do have Inti, Seneschal of the Sun. Now this is more of just a silver bullet. We do get +1/+1 counters, but this is a little bit better later in the game anyway when you have a more established board and you need to dig deeper into your deck. This is not that great on turn 2 if you play it on curve, so that's for that reason I only have 1. Invasion of Gobakhan. I don't know if it's Gobakhan or Gobakhan. I don't know, but either way, Gobakhan I think is wonderful. The only problem with this is Sunfall. I really wish Sunfall did not exist as a card, but so be it. We can save ourselves from Indestructible, not from getting exiled, but it also gives us +1/+1 counters. The Dusk Legion Duelist gives +1/+1 counters, and we get to draw. How wonderful is that? Easy adds with Vigilance, pretty good. Angelfire Ignition. Now here it comes in where we have our little niche above the Boros deck. The Boros deck can get blown out by mono red. At least I'm thinking. I don't really know this yet. I just kind of whipped this up, and I think it's pretty good. So we have Angelfire Ignition gives us Lifelink. Now obviously the Vigilance, Trample, Lifelink, Indestructible, Haste, all great. Lifelink is the thing that I really want to focus on, so I think that's kind of the biggest thing there. Anim Pakal, Thousandth Moon. Obviously, the +1/+1 counters never end. If you do get this, you have a bazillion gnomes, which is wonderful with the Samut, because those little gnomes did come onto the battlefield the very first turn, so you can use this and just draw a bunch of cards. I like that. We also have Halana and Alena, partners. I do think, I mean, I probably should be running some sort of, Secluded Courtyard, Cavern of Souls, etc. But this is actually not a human, it's a vampire. So for that reason, it's kind of hard because these are all humans, and Thundering Raiju is also not a human. So for that reason, I'm just gonna like say no for now, but that might be something you want to tweak. Thundering Raiju, of course, just more +1/+1 counters. And if you do get swept, this can just come in with haste and Halana and Alena as well. So you do need a little bit of haste because you can't get swept, and that's not good. Virtue of Loyalty, because why not? A 2/2 Vigilance, more +1/+1 counters. There we go. We just got counters on counters on counters. We got some Jetmir sleeves. We are ready to go. So without further ado, consider joining the channel. That would help me out as a content creator. Go ahead and subscribe if you have not already. And without further ado, let's get ready to vanquish some enemies. Noni, how we doing here? So, as long as we have one, yeah, this is like looking good. Hopeful Initiate again. I still think that this deck can kind of do some things that like the Boros deck can't. In some ways, it does feel a little bit weaker than like the Boros Knight Convoke kind of stuff, but I still think that we can fill out a niche. So Noni gives us a little mulligan there, so we'll go ahead and give them the friendly mulligan hello. Everybody needs and deserves a friendly hello. We need to take a mulligan because those things suck, but let's go ahead and pay the 1 here for a Hopeful Initiate, and we'll be on our way. I mean, there's absolutely no shortage of +1/+1 counters in this deck here. So we got the Recruitment Officer, looking like a standard mono white brew. So let's see if we can kind of do something here. The Virtue of Loyalty feels pretty good. A lot of times the Virtue of Loyalty, the +1/+1 counters a lot of times are like, well, let's go ahead and do this right away, just because Thalia is going to come out. We definitely want to get our 2/2 right before Thalia. Angelfire Ignition. Now, this is what I like the most about the Angelfire Ignition. Not that Thalia's out and then we can't cast it, but that's the life gain. The life gain aspect, I know there's a Lunark, the Lunark dude, I forgot his name, Lunark. But it gains life. That's another way of like gaining life. But Angelfire Ignition kind of goes with our +1/+1 counter kind of gimmick here. So that's kind of why I'm doing that. So Samut comes out, and they don't have any correct blocks though, because obviously if they block with Thalia, they get walled off there, and they're not going to double trade the Recruitment Officer with Thalia. So that feels pretty good. So we do draw into Anim Pakal. Brutal Cathar is kind of brutal, but that's why we're running the Soul Partition. And we would have to tap out for the Soul Partition, so we have to decide, do we want to go for double Initiate, or do we want to go for a single Anim Pakal, or do we want to go for Soul Partition? I think we can actually just go for Soul Partition. Now, because they missed their land drop, this makes this decision a lot easier, because if they miss their land drop, they aren't going to be able to go for Brutal Cathar for another 2 turns. And then they have to make the same exact... I think let's go for this. I was going to go for Soul Partition because they would make the same exact move. They would just, like, let the Samut come in again. But I think we're okay with this. We're going to do 2 damage, and then we still get we still like the Anim Pakal stuff. So I think this is probably the best move, and they are going to double trade. That is interesting. I wonder if they have like another Thalia, but like, yeah, both these are going to go down, and that's pretty much okay with me. Okay, that's a 2-for-1. Brutal Cathar stays there, but now Brutal Cathar again. Okay, it's not the end of the world. We still have this Angelfire Ignition and a Soul Partition. We do get into our 4th land, which will be nice for the Virtue of Loyalty. So how do we want to play this? I think we're probably just going to go in for... We want to do this at sorcery speed before combat, obviously, so I guess we'll go for the Partition, and I guess maybe should we take the Pakal? Get the Kapal, but... Well, Anim Pakal. Let's go for Hopeful Initiate. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. That's fine. Let's do that. Yep, we'll just go ahead and pay. We're absolutely paying, there's absolutely no problem there. And let's go ahead and get you, and I want to get the shenanigans, the +1/+1s going before we swing in here, because there's no way they're blocking, so we want to get the attack off. Well, to block the gnome, rather, but not the 2/2. Okay, I think we're sitting relatively okay here. Another Thalia. We do have enough to pay for the Angelfire Ignition, and if that's their entire turn, we're looking pretty good. I am a little gun-shy on the Soul Partition now, because now they can play. They have enough mana to play it out again, so I think we're going to go for Angelfire Ignition on you, so that we get... We don't want to put it on the Initiate, because then we can't train that way. And now that we swing in, Anim Pakal is going to get too big for them. So they want to chump block, that's fine. That's fine. Boom, bang, bang. 5-19, and with the Angelfire Ignition, we do get a little life back. But as you can see, the Anim Pakal just slowly but surely getting more annoying. And look at this. They're going to go ahead and get rid of it, which does kind of suck. But we can just go for Soul Partition, and that's the reason why I like Soul Partition. Never mind, we've got Halana and Alena that partners, and they didn't even get to see it, but they felt it. And how we doing here? Looks like an okay hand. As long as we have a turn 2, yeah, we definitely can't go without dropping a creature on turn 3. So as long as we got the Inti, the Seneschal, let's go ahead and go and do that. So the +1/+1s, I mean, I'm only running this as a silver bullet, only a 1-of in the entire deck. I don't think I don't think Inti really makes or breaks the deck, but I'll tell you what can potentially. Let's go for the Samut. And this thing is, if you get this thing with a Anim Pakal, you just get to do so many cool things. So no counter is wonderful. So let's see if Fading Hope. Okay, so Fading Hope is better than getting countered, but we're gonna still chip in some damage here. Not that big of a deal. 18-20. Obviously, we are being an aggressive deck, so that's what we do. I would hate to make the same play, but it's looking like we're gonna have to, unfortunately. So let's drop you. They either have Make Disappear or they don't. I don't think Stifle, I don't think anything like that is really, or like Censor or whatever is really in the format. So let's go ahead and just swing in. And do I want to discard a card? I'm tempted to, but we are tapped out. So it's not really worth it to try and get like a Hopeful Initiate or something like that. Eiganjo, so that is unfortunate. We're not going to get that card draw, but it is what it is. You figure that we are playing against Control, so there's most likely... Oh, is this Control or this is a Storm Chaser Drake deck? Okay, interesting. Okay. What I like about Angelfire Ignition is that we can give our thing haste. I don't think, unless they have another Fading Hope, which would be brutal, that is the one huge downside. We have a really, really bad matchup versus Control, just because, like, our Angelfire Ignition stuff is a little awkward. Let's see. I'm probably going to attack. If they do tap out here, let's go ahead and get rid of the land. We actually don't need a ton of land in this deck. We'll get more land anyway, but yeah, okay, so I actually already dropped my land, so that's actually not very good, but the thing is, I'm trying to get them to tap out so that we can Soul Partition. We don't go for the Angelfire Ignition, but I'm assuming that it just would have been, like, the wrong move anyway. I can tell that they're antsy about using something in their hand here, so maybe there's a chance we can kind of use Soul Partition. Ooh, okay, well, nothing, that's kind of nice. The only problem is this Angelfire Ignition is just down for the taking. I think we're just gonna kind of bank on playing something from our hand next turn. Shore up, yeah. Let's be honest though, we're kind of expecting this, but we have to still be kind of aggressive here. So we do get the Virtue of Loyalty. I'm gonna try and go for the well, I don't know. We can go for Angelfire Ignition and then the Virtue of Loyalty. I'm not comfortable going with this Angelfire Ignition. I think we're better off training. They can't really trade this anyway. Maybe we should just get rid of the Angelfire Ignition though, because we can always play that back later. So let's do this. But again though, we're kind of just sitting ducks for interaction. That's kind of the bad part. We do at least find a Sundown Pass, so like maybe we can kind of do something else. And this is interesting. Oh, wow. Serpentine Ambush. I have no way. Okay, wow, that's nice. That's good. That's good stuff. Oh, that is brutal. Okay. Dang, I did not even think of that as a thing. I was thinking like maybe like Shore Up, but then we wouldn't have died because we had 4/4. But yeah, that's a neat little card. We gotta give him props. I'm gonna go ahead and try the Virtue of Loyalty. So they are almost tapped out. So I guess we'll play this and not like some sort of spot remover like that. Bless Defiance, draw a card. Okie dokie. Security Bypass, not good. Obviously, the only thing that we can really do is just, we can go for the Hopeful Initiate, and again, we have so many things that we can, like, we have so many different ways we can make +1/+1 counters, so another Angelfire Ignition is pretty good. I'm gonna have to just try it. If we do bounce it, we still have 2 Angelfire Ignitions in the graveyard. Slip out the, okay, interesting. So we're not getting bounced, but we are. Okay, I think we're just gonna at least try this out. We are getting another +1/+1 counter, ironically enough, from the slip out the back. So I think we're just gonna target the Security Bypass. I guess. Take away their Connive ability. It's not that strong, but at least it's something. So we do keep our Hopeful Initiate. We will be able to hopefully go in for Angelfire Ignition, and even if they don't, we can still replay it. So it's not really the end of the world, but we're not looking too great here on the race. Plus they do have like the lifelink when they go in for the blessing, so let's try this. Again, having that Play with Fire is kind of nice. It is kind of nice though, because we can try and go for Play with Fire on the Storm Chaser Drake. So Soaring City, okay, that is wonderful. They finally tap out, so let's go in for the Play with Fire, kill the Drake. Thank goodness. We bounce that back, but then we just get to play it again, and we get a I'm spilling stuff. +1/+1 counter back on it. So that was pretty good. The Soaring City did end up doing that, and no, another one. Oh man, another one is so brutal. Gosh darn it. That's the problem with these decks, in my opinion. Whenever I played like the Storm Chaser Drake, it's a pretty good deck. I just think like you literally can't win without it. But they also tend to play the Virtuoso. Unfortunately, we do draw into a Sundown Pass. Let's go into the Hope. Okay, so that goes through. Okay, so that's nice. I would assume they would have went for, like, Fading Hope. Okay, so we get a little bit of lifelink, and there's at least a sliver of hope here. Okay, and more +1/+1 counters, so we can go for the Hopeful Initiate, and we still can kill, like, a Security Bypass. There's another Security Bypass. I wish we could kill the Drake again, but oh man, how do we get out of here? It's gonna be difficult. Shore Up. Well, Shore Up just targets the creature. I can still go for Hopeful Initiate on the Security Bypass. I guess I will, and another Storm Chaser Drake is not good. But even if I go for Hopeful Initiate's ability when they swing in, so the Security Bypass, they have to actually do damage. It's not when they attack. It's not when they attack, so they actually have to do damage. So let's do this. Okay, boom. So they don't get the Connive. They don't get the Connive, which is still something. And another land. Oh, gross. All right, let's see if we can maybe, like, bluff. Yeah, it's not good, not good, not good. Let's see if we can at least maybe, like, bluff, hold, like, full control or something. Virtue of Loyalty kind of helps. But if they weren't flying, this would be great. But they do. And then the 4th Storm Chaser Drake, it's a storm up in here. It is a storm, and I don't have my umbrella. So I guess we'll hold full control just to kind of make them think that we have something. I guess we can kind of hold up priority with Hopeful Initiate anyway. So the full control is not even really necessary. And another land. Oh, no. Gosh darn it. I think let's give an angry donut. GG's. A suit 208. This looks like a pretty good hand. I do want to see the Invasion of Gobakhan. I think that card is pretty gosh darn good. Of course, we're starting off with the Overgrown Farmland, just so that we can, you know, play our stuff on time. That's always pretty good. I think that's usually how you play Magic the Gathering. So Rafine's Tower, assuming we're just going to go against Rafine and friends, or just some sort of control, but I'm not too worried about it. Either way, we don't care. We got the Anim Pakal, and on turn 3, works out very, very well with our Dusk Legion Duelist. The Dusk Legion Duelist is like a nice little draw engine, and with Vigilance, it is pretty nice. They do have to pretty much get rid of it. So, whoa. Up the Beanstalk. Okay, so this is not going to be Esper. This is going to be like a Traxa Beanstalk control. We got the Thundering Raiju. I am a big fan of the Thundering Raiju. I think we're just going to go in for... We could go for the Invasion. I think that because Sunfall, it's better off not to go for the Invasion. So I think we're just going to go for a Anim Pakal and just get our +1/+1s going early. So the Invasion is really good versus decks that don't have Sunfall, but let's face it, everyone's kind of running Sunfall, so it's a lot better against like creatures and black, because black destroys, white exiles, and that really hurts us. So if we do get into another land, we can go for Thundering Raiju and Anim Pakal, and that would be pretty dynamite. There we go. Unfortunately, we don't have 2 red for the Thundering Raiju, which is pretty brutal. So we're going to go for the Invasion and just see what we're looking against here. So because if they have like a Sunfall, obviously that is one of the biggest things that we have to worry about. Leyline Binding. Okay. Okay, I think that's fine. I think it's probably just going to get rid of Anim Pakal. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, we still get the Invasion though, so let's take a look at their hand and see what we're going against. Memory Deluge and a Teferi, I think we'll let you keep it Teferi. The Memory Deluge actually makes their turn 4 a heck of a more awkward. So if I attack both, this is actually pretty good. Okay, let's do this. Bang, bang. Invasion flips over. We get a Light Shield Array. And we can still go for the Virtue of Loyalty. Okay, that's pretty good. And we, of course, with the Dusk Legion Duelist, we do get the draw. Nice little touch there. Nice little touch. And that is another red source, so we have Thundering Raiju. Things are looking pretty good. This is looking kind of good here. Okay. And we did take away their Memory Deluge. They still have 1 mystery card that I'm not familiar with in their hand, but that's okay. No Sunfall. As long as we don't see a Sunfall, we are pretty okay. And as long as we can attack, I think I'm going to go with the Play with Fire. I know that, you know, you're just looking at like, you know, hey, man, you got Thundering Raiju here. In case they sweep the board, I want to keep my haste creatures, if that makes any sense. So let's go ahead and do this. Put Halana and Alena out, and I'm gonna put the plus counters on the Duelist just so that we can draw unless they have spot removal. Yep, so getting the draw is very, very nice. And again, I want to keep our haste stuff. I know the Halana and Alena technically can make haste stuff and like that, but that is the reason why I went for the Play with Fire. Alright, so we're going to do 9 to the face, barring any sort of removal, and we still have this Light Shield Array in case they have, well, I don't want to say any sweeper, because again, we know how good Sunfall is, unfortunately. So if they have Sunfall, we can still recover with the Thundering Raiju, so not the end of the world. It's pretty much going to be, I think, Sunfall, or they have to gain some sort of life. They take it, and that was just easy. Let's go. Okie Scoop. Well, hopefully we're not scooping against you, but how you doing, Okie Scoop? Let's just drop the Rockfall Vale. Don't have a turn 1 play, and we're not even going to pretend like we do, so let's just go ahead and drop that. Fairy Dream Thief. So is this going to be fairies? Fairies were like... I remember fairies were supposed to be the new rogues, but they ended up kind of fizzling out, so... I guess we're going to go ahead and go for the Virtue of Loyalty. We could go for Dusk Legion Duelist, but I kind of want that to be a little bit more sneaky for, like, card draw. And plus, if they're playing black... They have, like, Go for the Throat, obviously. They have a lot of initiative there. So I think I would kind of rather throw them off with the Virtue of Loyalty, playing that... Ooh, Soul Ripper. Oh, Soul Ripper. That's interesting. I haven't seen that card in a long time. That's from Kamigawa, I believe. Okay. Turn 3 is a little bit awkward here, unfortunately. I think... We could go for Invasion. I think we're just going to go for Dusk Legion Duelist. We do have to pay 1, which is not wonderful, but these both have Vigilance, so I'm not too worried about my life total here. This Soul Ripper is a little suspect, though. And then next turn we can go for Thundering Raiju. Maybe we should go on for... I don't know. I don't think I'm that scared of the Invasion. Tenacious Underdog. So are they going to swing in? If so, are they going to sacrifice something to swing in? Alright. Are they gonna sacrifice the Underdog or the Dream Thief, or what's going on here? Okay. I guess that makes sense. I'm not gonna double block here. I don't really like doing that. So down to 12. Definitely have to be wary. So we have to expel the Interlopers. I'm absolutely love this card. As you can see, whenever you need to use it, it actually is really good. So I know that it kind of sucks. It kind of conflicts a little bit. If we go for Thundering Raiju, we're gonna swing in here, bang, bang, bang. Got Vigilance, and the Thundering Raiju is gonna put the +1/+1 counter on the Duelist. Oh my gosh, cut down. That is brutal. Cutting down the Duelist. I mean, I don't really play around cut down very much, and no. Bloodletter of Alcazats. If they counter this, they have Menace 6/6, and that's 12, and I just lost. Wow. Pingu, how we doing here? How we doing? Okay, let's go ahead and keep this. Looking pretty good. Of course, you got the Hopeful Ignition on turn 1. On the play, life's pretty good. Life's pretty good. Got 2 Halana and Alena, so we're going against Mono Red. Thankfully, we are on the play, because if we were on the draw versus Mono Red, it's pretty much like the fastest deck ever, so that kind of sucks. Let's go in for the Invasion. Take a look at what you got in your hand here, and let's just make them as awkward as possible on their turn 2. So I think what we're going to do is take away... I guess the Bloodthirsty Adversary, it doesn't really matter, though. That's kind of the problem with Mono Red, because if we don't do that, they still play down the Adversary, they get the Kamanu buff, and then this way they go in for the Phoenix chick, and then they get the Monstrous Rage either way, and they have 2 Monstrous Rages, so, like, not really a whole lot we can do in that regard. The only thing that I really like about this, obviously, with the Angelfire Ignition, we can get lifelink, so that is absolutely wonderful, and that's going to be the plan. Very, very simple Angelfire Ignition, and this is the one part that I really like about that. This is so we go wide, but we don't run the Knight, so we don't really do that kind of stuff either. So I think the best niche this deck fulfills is lifelink versus the opposing aggressive decks, if that makes sense. Because Convoke, the Boros stuff, can get burned out too. Like, if you're playing the Boros Knight Convoke, you can just get burned out by this mono red kind of stuff. But with this lifelink, you get really tall, and I think I am going to block here. I know they have another Monstrous Rage, but we have 2 Halana and Alenas, and we're not worried. Yeah, that's fine. And yeah, let's just do this, and I guess we can just go for the... We also have this, so there's really not that much to worry about. Yeah, looking good here. Indestructible, and again, the invasion does help out so much. You get that extra little counter. We got an Anim Pakal. I think... Should we go for the... I don't think so. I think we're just actually going to go for Halana and Alena. This way we can at least... I mean, it sucks, but there is a potential chance we can jump block the chick. I don't really think that's really worth it, but we are at 14 life, and I'm not swinging in. I'm not swinging in. I just want to buff up my Hopeful Initiate up to the high heavens so that I can swing in with this monstrous Angelfire Ignition out of my graveyard. Alright, I don't think it's worth it. I know what they have in their hand. They have a Squee. They can't really do much of that. So even if they had a Monstrous Rage, nah, we're not, our life total isn't threatened here. It's Mistress Foundry. They didn't swing in with Mistress Foundry, so I would assume they have something here, because, like, what else are they waiting for? So Squee, you're typically supposed to play beforehand, so I'm not too worried about that. I think it's pretty obvious here. I think we're going to go in. We could put the Angelfire Ignition on Halana and Alena, but I want to get the lifelink as big as possible, so let's just do this. And they're not going to block with the Squee either. Vigilance, Trample, lifelink, Haste. I absolutely love the Angelfire Ignition. When it's good, not versus Control, because you can just get picked off versus like spot removal, but when it's good, it is great, and it is wonderful here. 21-8, and that is pretty much going to put the kibosh on mono red. I don't care what they do. We've got a 10-11, and I don't know. We're at higher than our original starting life total here, so I think mono red is probably the one that's sweating. Typically, they're the ones dealing the heat. I think we're the ones that looking good here. So down to 18-8. Whatever they want to do, Witchtalker Frenzy, we actually have another Halana and Alena, so we actually don't even care about that. We've got our little Gala Greeters, which I still am not sure if I like the... That doesn't even matter. I don't even get to go for the Pakal. Mop, how are we doing here? Hopefully we mop up the competition. Been a little bit up and down with this deck so far. So it's been okay. It definitely hasn't been bad, but man, we haven't been crushed by a few matchups here. but still have not lost hope. Let's go ahead and drop the Rockfall Vale so that we can set up for our Dusk Legion Duelist. So far, I mean, obviously you never want to judge a deck over, like, you know, 6 or 7 matches, but so far I'm just trying to think of, like, how it could be better. Coppercoat Vanguard, okay. What's the play here? Do we want to establish some sort of board control? It's either going to be the Dusk Legion Duelist. I mean, we're going to have to probably go in for Soul Partition at some point. Let's go ahead and just do that on the Vanguard. Soldier. So is this going to be like a Azorius Soldiers? If so, they have the Secluded Courtyard as well. Whoa. Boros. So is this going to be like Boros Soldiers? I guess we'll go ahead and hit the Vanguard, because I know this Baird, whatever this thing's called. If you have something that's above its original power, you get another 1/1. So if we get rid of the Coppercoat Vanguard, they don't get that. And we take a little less damage, not too bad. Alright, so that's pretty nice. Turn 3, let's just go ahead and maintain the most mana efficient thing. Let's go ahead and drop Anim Pakal. Definitely don't like this thing. They get out pretty fast. I'm curious though. So, whoa! Sky Strike Officer. So this is Jeskai Soldiers. That is interesting. I don't see a whole lot of this, so that is pretty nice mop. More land. I guess we're gonna go for the Thundering Raiju. The only problem here, we're definitely gonna have to play it. It's better than going for Dusk Legion Duelist. The only problem is, like, what do we do here? Like, what's the sequencing here? Because do they want to lose the Sky Strike Officer? If I swing with just you and we put a +1/+1 on Pakal, the problem is here, if I go for Thundering Raiju and put it on itself, there is another trick that we can do. We can put it on Pakal and then create more 1/1s. But, like, I don't know. I don't think that's really the move here. I think we're gonna go ahead and force them. If they want to get rid of the Sky Strike Officer, they're gonna have to. Otherwise, they can't double block the other two. If that makes any sense. I want them to really be forced to lose the Sky Strike Officer. If they want to double block the Bard and the Sky Strike Officer, they're not going to, which is fine. Okay, so we at least get to keep the Thundering Raiju. We do have the Dusk Legion Duelist, which can help us draw cards with the Raiju, but we are... Coppercoat Vanguard comes up. Oh, that's actually not the one that... So they have another Coppercoat Vanguard and a Thalia. Thalia doesn't bug me too much. It's more the Coppercoat Vanguard. The Coppercoat Vanguard's brutal. We need to find a way into some spot removal pretty quickly. 14 to 15. Hopefully not land. Just not land. That would be kind of nice. Oh, and the Knight. Okay, so here's what I was talking about with the Knight is we are comparable to the Knight. We obviously can't go nearly as wide. So we have another Anim Pakal. We have 5 cards in our hand. Can't really play anything other than a Dusk Legion Duelist, which do we even want the Thundering Raiju to swing in and put a +1/+1 counter? I think we're going to have to do it on the Duelist, and hopefully we can, like, actually play something. So let's do this. I'm not going to put it on Pakal, unfortunately, but we do get some more bodies this way, and hopefully we can draw into something. We get the Angelfire Ignition, but unfortunately for us, the Angelfire Ignition, not hot and fresh out the kitchen. Angelfire Ignition is going to not be able to play until next turn, so that is kind of unfortunate. We get them down to 7, but here's the thing, though. We have the Sokenzan. I think we can still win this. If we have Sokenzan to chump block, and they're not... The only thing that I'm be worried about is, like, that Harbinger thing that gives everyone flying. Otherwise, I think we have it. And there it is. Oh, my God. Oh, gosh. This has been brutal. With that match with the Blood Letter of Alcazatz, and now they have the Harbin, I think we could have potentially won without this, but now that they all fly... 14, yeah, that is going to be way enough, but... Oh... That was the first strike, yeah. Dang, that is unfortunate. Just close enough. GG's.